You can watch me when I fall, when I cry, when I get shot, when I go to jail, when I die. You can watch.
Your homie Gab is in the building. Check out my exclusive interview with the return of the Holy One, hip-hop legend, YZ.
The ghetto's been good to me. I'm never gonna turn my back.
Yo, what's good? It's YZ, the Black Bank, and right now you're checking out my man, Young Gab, MAKAVELI Media. You know what it is.
Yo, YouTube, what up? It's your homie Gab, I'm in the building. And this is MAKAVELI Media. Today, we got hip-hop royalty, New Jerusalem, BK, Return of the Holy One, the Tower of Power, one of my favorite MCs ever. YZ, what's up, man?
Peace, Lord. How are you?
What's good, bro?
Man, I'm good. I can't complain. I mean, I'm alive. Sadly, this morning my mother called me and told me that a good friend of mine that I went to school with passed away in his sleep last night. He couldn't have been no more than a year or two older than me. And this was a health nut. So rest in peace to Randy Randolph, and my condolences to his family. And I'm still kind of like in shock.
Wow, man, rest in peace, definitely. From not only me but the whole MAKAVELI Media family, man.
Yeah.
Wow, brother, that's a lot. I'm sorry to hear that. God rest him.
Yeah, you know? But I thought about it, brother, and just like we're about to speak on Pac, who is ascended on. I'll pray he ascended on and hasn't had to come back here. At the end of the day, man, I don't look at death as a bad thing, because it's something that we all have to do, and without death, there will be no new. So I don't mind death, but it still is always a shock to hear about, people that especially when, people are trying to do the right thing. They're trying to, live right. I mean, just a friend of mine in the Illuminati calls and talks to me all the time. He says, when we come back here, we sign a contract, and we sign a contract to the very day in which we will pass on. And so when I look at things like this brother who passed away either late last night or this morning before he woke up, he was in good health. I don't know what his mental condition was, but usually when we spoke, he always seemed to be in a good place. But we don't know what people are going through. But at the end of the day, let's say all was well with him. Let's say he was perfectly fine, and it was his time, and he was ready to go. So it could have been anything. He could have left in full peace. Or
absolutely.
When we think of death, we always think of the bad things.
Right. It's the fear of the unknown that has a lot of people sad and upset when something like that happens. But I wish that brother a peaceful transition.
Yes, right.
But no doubt. But brother YZ, man, it's like you must have had stock in the video jukebox back in the day, man. I mean, Tower of Power used to come on like every other video. That NWA and Two Live Crew. How did you get started in the whole rap industry? And what was it like coming out back then?
Okay, so I'm still in high school, and I meet a brother named Tony D. He's an Italian guy out of Ewing, New Jersey, just an outskirt of Trenton. He's a DJ. He's older than me. He's probably like 4 or 5 years older than me. And he invites me to come to his house to make a demo. We make this demo just for him spinning. That demo makes it to the hand of a DJ from one of the stations out in Philadelphia. He passes it on to another DJ. His friend, who is also a DJ, who is DJ Jeff Mills, came to see me. I'm still in high school, probably 16 years old. My father took me to the Dunkin' Donuts to meet him. I get out of the car, get in his car. He got my demo in his car. And he plays the music for me, says, hey, I like this. I'd like to really record this, and let's put a record out. So I said, look, I got to talk to my dad and talk to my mom and see if they with it. My mother was like, nah, you ain't going to do that. But my father, my father was like, let him do it. You can't hold him back. You got to let him do what he got to do. So anyway, about maybe a week or so later, we go to New York to Green Street Studios. We record a song. I take a couple of buddies with me that I have been writing. One guy was been writing for. The other guy is our DJ. We record 2 songs. Maybe 2 weeks passed. He had test pressings, and as soon as he had test pressings, he was playing it on the radio. And the funny thing is, because he was a mix show DJ, I was listening. Every weekend back then, it was the thing. Friday and Saturday around, 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. You would run to the radio station to listen to, the Red Alert show or the Mr. Magic show or the Marley Marl show or DJ Chuck.
Right. Whatever the hip hop show was, right.
Yeah, whatever it was. I mean, but I would listen to all of them, Lady B, all of them. So because of where I was situated in Jersey, I could get all the stations in New York. I could get all the stations in Philadelphia. So anyway, to make a long story short, he plays the record. And it blows my mind because I didn't even know it was coming on. My brother was like, yo, ain't that your record? And he heard it before me. And so anyway, I'm running out the door to go tell G-Rock, who was in the group. He blasting it out the window when I get there. So anyway, to make a long story short, that was our first record. We put out we didn't even have a deal at that time, but a local label out of Trenton had heard the record. They wanted to print it up. And I guess Jeff had some ties with them, so we put it out on their label. And so anyway, we put it out on their label. And after that, I realized that I didn't want to put another record out on somebody else's label. So maybe 4 or 5 months into it, we're recording more records. And I run into this guy. His name is Tim Baylor. He owned a small label out of Trenton, New Jersey, but he didn't have any acts. So I talked to him about, becoming partners with him because I had a record on the radio. I was doing all right. And I was just like, yo, I was 17 years old. My mom was on business. I convinced this man to give me 50% of his label. So Tony D had started a company, and Tony D and I started a company called Two Tone Productions. I started with him, where we had a production company, and then I owned 50%. So I owned 50% of a production company, and then I shortly thereafter owned 50% of a record company. And then the first group that I signed to that label was Poor Righteous Teachers.
Rock this funky joint. So Poor Righteous Teachers, another legendary hip hop group out of Jersey. Break down the members for my listeners right now.
Wise Intelligence, Culture Freedom, and Father Shaheed. God bless the dead.
God bless the dead, Father Shaheed. Now, how the hell did you meet Poor Righteous Teachers?
Tony was doing like a lot of different production for different cats inside of Trenton. However, I don't know if he was doing anything with Wise and them. Tony and I, we would go around the city quite a bit. And one day we were riding in a car and we stopped at this little cookout that, really didn't have any people there. It was just, a DJ, a microphone, a couple of people back there, somebody cooking. And somebody disappeared when they saw me because, like I said, I had a record on the radio that was doing pretty well. And they brought this guy. And as soon as I saw him, I loved his energy. He said he wanted to spit. I spit. He grabbed the mic and spit. And as soon as he did, I fell in love with his style. Like, I was just like, yo, this dude is phenomenal. And I had to have him.
I know who it is. I know who you talking about, man.
Yeah, and he, he introduced me to the rest of his crew, and we signed PRT. Now, here's the issue. In my mind, when that was happening, I was thinking, we're about to take over the world. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, I'm 17, maybe 18 at the time. And I just signed this phenomenal cat and his group. And I'm about to take over the world. I own a production company. I own a label. I'm about to take over the world. But Tony, I think, did not like the idea of it because I don't think he liked the idea that I own part of the label as well as the, but Tony would have never opened up a production company had it not been for me. I'm not, and this is no lie. He was doing music for a bunch of people, and I was like, T, like, what you doing? Like, he said, what you mean? I said, yo, we should turn this into a business. And so, I remember we got in the car, we went to City Hall, filed for Two Tone Productions. He would have never did it because it was just not in him to do business like that. That wasn't his thing. He wanted to make music. That was him. And so, anyway, after the label situation happened, I think it made Tony salty. He never said anything to me, but when the group that you're producing is my group and you're in their ear convincing them that I'm, going to cause harm and do, and they were just young. You get me? And, Wise and I are probably a year apart in age, but at the end of the day, I get it. You got this dude making you fat beats and telling you, I wouldn't fool with that. So what ended up happening was early into what we were starting, they had already asked me for a release. And so Timmy, my partner, didn't want to release them. He was like, hell no. They signed to us. They're going to honor this contract. I pulled Timmy to the side, and I was like, look, I don't want to do that. I said, if they don't want to be here, we're not going to get the best out of them, and dude, it's just way too dope. Like, if something's going to happen with them, we need to let that happen. The world needs to hear this guy. And so, anyway, I convinced Timmy to let them go. They signed to another small label out of Trenton called Northside Records with a local dude named IQ. And the rest was history. They put out Butt Naked Booty Bust, which Tony D produced. And then they did a record called Time to Say Peace. And Time to Say Peace blew up. Now, imagine. Butt Naked Booty Blessed, this didn't happen, but just imagine this. You got YZ doing his thing, PRT, just put out Butt Naked Booty Blessed and Time to Say Peace. We would have ran the East Coast. We would have ran the East Coast. But, yeah, Tony wanted to create beef. And so it took Wise and I some time to really get our stuff together because instead of doing this thing together, now we doing records against each other. And it just didn't even make sense to me. It never made sense then. And to this day, I mean, even though Wise and I way past it and since buried the hatchet, bruh, we would have ran the East Coast.
Man, I'm scratching my head. It's like a lot to digest at one time because I came up off of Poor Righteous Teachers as well. And you told me earlier that, you had them signed at one time. That was news to me. So I'm like, wow, all this is like big shot to me. I'm just trying to process all of it.
The first record deal that PRT signed was with me.
Wow. Bro, I'm lost for words. I'm just sitting here as a fan, as a student right here, just soaking it all in. There's so much history being dropped, so much knowledge is being dropped right now. So on a different note, so you're doing your thing, you're seasoned in the game. I see the influence, I see your style in a lot of artists. You're maneuvering all over the country right now. Yeah. When did you run into Tupac Shakur?
Actually, I met Pac early. I probably met Pac for the first time in like 92 or 91. Maybe even earlier than that, but maybe 91. And I could tell you the first time that I met Pac, I met Pac in San Francisco. It was at a Gavin convention. And I had known Digital Underground and heard of them and everything. And so I had met Shock G and Shock and Money B, and they had this kid with him, and I could tell Pac was very up on what I was doing. I'm not going to say he was a fan of my music, but he was definitely familiar, very familiar with me and very familiar with my music, as was Digital Underground.
Dope.
We hooked up, we talked, kicked it. The next time I saw them, I had gotten invited to, it was funny, it was in Houston, where I am right now. And they were doing a big show with P.E., Ice Cube, Yo-Yo, maybe a few others. I can't remember anybody else that was on that tour. But so anyway, he's still with Digital Underground at the time. So remember, I told you Pac was familiar with me. And Digital Underground was performing. I'm on the side of the stage. Somewhere during the show, Pac comes off the stage, pulls me onto the stage. He's like, yo, we about to do Humpty Hump. Come on, get on stage and dance with us. Do the Humpty Hump with us. And I guess every member of the group pulled somebody they knew on stage. Little did the people know that was being pulled up on stage. It was a practical joke. So somewhere at the end of the damn song, everybody, whoever pulled you up on the stage, gave you a wedgie, a big one. You know, Pac digging down my back and to pull my drawers up my ass. I'm chasing this dude around the stage. Now, mind you, I'm tripping right now. I'm like, yo, what the fuck just happened just now?
I don't mean to laugh, bro. I get this picture. I'm laughing before you even started the whole thing. God,
I have pictures with him. It's just so hard to find them, because you get past. Like, there's a picture I posted after you wanted to do this yesterday or the day before of Shock G.
Right.
That was at that concert that he gave me a wedgie.
The wedding concert,
This is after that. You see my face. You see my face. Mm-hmm. They all smiles. I ain't got a smile on my face.
Yeah, you look dead ass. You look serious on there, yeah.
Huh?
You look real serious. You look real serious on there.
But I was always serious in pictures. But my point is, I didn't find it amusing, even though I get it. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I get it more now than I did when I was younger, because back then I didn't want to, I just really wasn't about the nonsense back then. And so, but that was Pac though. He was a good, friendly dude. He was a good dude. He grew up in, around that essence of, freedom fighters, but he was a good dude. And whenever we would see each other, it would always be the same vibration. And even later on, when he became friends with Tretch and I had beef. You would never know it if you saw us together, because we always were cool. I would see him here in Atlanta. Because I moved to Atlanta in '93, and and I would see him periodically. As a matter of fact, his family's house. When I first moved to Atlanta, I moved to Stone Mountain. His family's house is maybe less than 2 miles away from my house. And so,
oh wow, y'all damn near neighbors then.
No, I mean same neck of the woods. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, 2 miles in Atlanta.
Where he stayed was Stone Mountain, right where I stayed. And so, so I would see him periodically, and then I would see him at different things. Like I would see him at Jack the Rapper. I would see him. And every time we would see each other, would always be love. I remember when he was shooting Above the Rim. Pee Wee Kirkland, who was my manager at the time, was doing all the basketball coordination for the movie. Plus, he was a scout in the movie. And I got a bunch of people in that movie. And so I had a part in the movie too, but they took it out. And they rightly so, because I did a terrible job. So anyway,
who was you doing? Hold on, who was you doing in the movie, man?
I was an announcer. I was the announcer. Right when you hear my music, when the music is coming on for the basketball game, I was the announcer for the game. Here's the thing. I could have did well, but that night, the night before, I stayed up with some person I shouldn't have stayed up with, doing things I knew I probably shouldn't have been doing. Then we drove all the way from Philadelphia. And the funny thing is, I would speak on who this is, but you know, there are too many people in the industry that know this person, so I won't mention that person.
Well, we're gonna leave that person hush hush right now.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that person hush hush. And she's a really, really nice lady, and you know, I love her to death to this day. So anyway, we drive all the way to New York, but I hadn't gotten any sleep. And so I get there, bruh, like I'm falling asleep. I'm like literally trying to hold my eyes open while they're setting up this big scene for me, 5 big movie cameras in front of me. And I could not think. I remember, what's the boy's name? Martin.
Dwayne Martin.
Dwayne Martin. Saying, yeah, good job out there. Like trying to just and that's how they were, man. A bunch of him, the Wayans, that always joking, always, you know. But anyway, so make a long story short, let's get back to Pac. I mean, because I'm sounding way too excited right now.
No, this is gold. This is gold right here, bro. Do your thing.
So I come back to Pee Wee asked me to come to see him, meet him at a particular place during the movie. When I get there, shortly after I get there, Pac walks up to me, gives me a real big hug. I hadn't seen him in like maybe, you know, some weeks or so. Gives me a hug. We speak. He has this orange jacket on. And I'm like, yo, what you doing? He said, we about to shoot the scene right now. I was like, oh, okay, cool, man. Well, I appreciate that you even came and showed love. And he's like, always, you know, we were just always cool. Always. It was always cool. When we saw each other, it was always cool. If I saw any of the cast, especially Shock or Money B from Digital, it's always cool. He didn't say what the scene was. He did not say. He just said, I'm about to go shoot this scene. I said, cool. We gave our hugs and kisses. I said, peace. I bounced. When I looked at the movie, that was the scene where he got shot. And it blew me away when he passed away.
Whoa. That's when Boogaloo poured the steel on him and bust him in the chest. That's when Boogaloo popped him. Yeah, yep.
Absolutely.
Damn. Yep. He didn't even tell you he was about to go film the death scene.
Nah, he just said he was filming the scene. He didn't say what the scene was. He didn't say any of that. He didn't have a lot of time to sit and talk with me, but when he would see me, it would always be love.
I've earned my respect